alien genitalia. And now that I have your attention, what do you think about an evil teratoma that bursts out the back of a woman and starts terrorizing the town? Interested? You're on the red couch with Danny Gherkin. Let's spit some brine. We're talking about Malignant. Malignant is a 2021 horror film directed by the same guy who brought us The Conjuring and Etcetera. However, unlike those films, this one isn't very good. In fact, I'd actually say it's bad. The film was directed by James Wan, and the screenplay is based off a story that he himself helped write. It had a budget of $40 million. I don't know where it was bloody spent. And was theatrically released in cinemas, grossing a little under $30 million. A $30 million, what a disappointment. That's chunk change. The film received mixed reviews, with critics finding it either painfully average or bloody brilliant. And I'll tell you this for free. It's a combination of the two. It's bloody average. The plot, spoilers and etc. No, Gabby, I will not kill the viewers. Sorry, I'm on the phone. Okay, I'll kill them. Sorry, you had to die. The film opens in a research facility of some kind, and we're introduced to 3 characters who will be important later on. Dr. Florence, Victor, and John are treating a dangerous patient that is proven to have supernatural powers, such as controlling electricity and talking through speakers. This patient is Gabriel, who I was just on the phone with. And one night he goes on a bloody murder spree. It's pretty sweet. 27 years later, our main protagonist, Madison Lake, comes home from her nursing job because she's feeling sick. She has a parasite in her stomach. That's right, she's pregnant. And no, you don't have to remember that she's a nurse because it never comes up again. She finds her layabout husband, who quickly decides to get up and beat her. Oops, I just stood up into an open cupboard. It's all my fault. Seriously, Jenny, I'm fine. Nothing's going on's her. And this opens up a wound in her head. He runs off to get ice while she locks the door and passes out. Typical Madison. Later she finds her husband's dead body after dreaming of a man having snuck into their house and killing him. However, the killer is still in the house and attacks her. It's pretty sweet. Both these scenes are actually pretty great. The acting is awful, almost the room level bad type of acting. And it sets you up to expect this brilliant offering of schlock. Yes, Hollywood, I'll have another cup of schlock, thank you. It seems to know exactly what it's doing, what it is, and it's like it's nodding vigorously to all the slasher films and horror films that have come before. But then its head falls off, and it rolls underneath the fridge, and the film spends the next hour or so shifting it side to side, getting down on its hands and knees and reaching into the dusty gap. And I got bored of watching it jiggle its ass in the air. I got really bored. Madison wakes in the hospital, and her sister Sydney, who is there now, informs her that the parasite, human child, did not survive the attack. And Maddie don't think that cool. Actually, she really think that not cool at all. However, 2 weeks later, she's pretty alright with it. Maddie tells Sydney that she was adopted at 8 years old, and later that night has another dream where she watches someone getting murdered. There's other stuff going on, like the police are out doing some investigating, and a woman gets kidnapped from the underground, but already at this point the film has come to a screeching halt. And that's because it doesn't give us any reason to care about what's going on, and that's because Madison doesn't even care. Her husband just died, she doesn't give a crap, her baby just died, and she doesn't seem to care at all. 2 weeks later, she's walking around the house doing laundry, seemingly serenely. The only thing that is troubling her is that she is witnessing the deaths of these people. But the movie doesn't try and make us think that it's her somehow doing these. She doesn't wake up with blood on her hands or scratch marks across her face, and the reason the movie doesn't do this is because it's her killing them. Or technically Gabriel, the evil teratoma. It doesn't want to blow its load too early, so all we have is a woman having some slightly perturbing dreams, and that's not enough. More stuff happens, yada yada yada. The sisters visit Madison's adoptive mother and learn about the imaginary friend called Gabriel, yada yada. A couple more people die. Police people find more clues. Finally, the kidnapped woman, who turns out to be Madison's birth mother, falls through her roof when the police are over, and Madison gets locked away under suspicion of kidnapping. And this is when it gets really fun again. All the other women in the cell are horrible, horrible cows, and they start beating Madison up. This triggers Gabriel, who bursts out of her brain and ends up killing everyone in the cell. It's bloody, it's over the top, it's just really fun. It is revealed at this point that Gabriel has been controlling her ever since she got whacked on the noggin at the start of the movie. Gabriel gets out of the cell and goes on a rampage in the police headquarters, and then heads towards the hospital where Madison's birth mother is convalescing. For some reason, Sydney shows up there and there's drama. Drama. And a fake out ending. But then we learn that Madison has learned she can overpower Gabriel. She locks him away in a mind prison, her skull closes, and she says this really creepy line.
All my life, I've yearned for a blood connection with someone.
And then the camera pans away on this really, really awkward shot. I loved it. A collection of bad bits. Supernatural versus body horror, why do we have both in this movie? What purpose does Gabriel being able to control electricity and talk through speakers, does it serve? It doesn't serve the plot, it doesn't even serve the character that well. Why not remove it completely and just have the body horror concept? I understand that powers are scary, but you already have a sentient, evil teratoma that can burst out of her head whenever it wants and take control of her body and mind. You don't need useless electrokinesis to give cheap spooks. At least I don't think. It actually hinders the horror, as we as an audience aren't quite sure what aspects of Gabriel we are meant to be frightened of. Can he get into our heads? Can he electrocute us? Or is the horror specific to Madison, and we are to imagine ourselves as her, with a foreign malevolent entity living inside us? We never know. Because the film never tells us. It just shows us a bunch of stuff and tells us it's scary. The plot is pretty awful, specifically Madison's arc. She goes from thinking she might be a little bit insane to completely believing that she's seeing these people being murdered in the blink of an eye. Why not have her be more concerned about her mental state rather than immediately just believing what she's seen as real? Why not have her putting together clues that all end up pointing back to her, to then expose it was Gabriel controlling her the whole time, is still surprising to the audience. What's real and what's not? We don't really have any sense of what is real and what isn't, and not in a good way. Why should we care about the dreams if the movie straight away tells us that they are real and she's just watching? Why not start with a few dreams where the bodies aren't found until much later, or not at all? This gives more room for her to question her sanity. Why not have some proto-dreams, effectively Gabriel and premeditating a murder that then happens later in the week, and Madison has to wonder how she knew the exact details before it even happened. Or even a slight change. Why not have the murderer turn around after killing someone and look directly into Madison's eyes, and maybe he could smile? This would give some sort of sense of danger, as if he could attack her in the dreams if he chose. This would make sense later on, as of course Gabriel knows she's there. She's the murderer after all. And she's always watching from across the room or inside a closet. Why not have it POV, as in like from the person doing the killing? That would be scarier, that would make more sense, rather than having this strange sort of supernatural aspect to it where she's sort of like got a weird psychic neural link to the murderer. And again, this movie doesn't want to let on too early, but in this instance you can have your cake and eat it too. Oh, and like one last thing, her skull literally bursts open and Gabriel comes out, and then it snaps shut again, like later on. She's gonna get an infection if that's real. A really bad infection. A collection of things I liked. The opening scene, the prison scene, they're both really fun, they're over the top, they're gory, they're exactly what I wanted to see throughout this entire movie. Unfortunately, we didn't get that, but the bits that we did get, it was really good. There are some interesting shots. The third murder takes place across from a very well lit apartment building. There's pretty colours everywhere, it's raining. It's just really interesting to look at, and sort of bizarrely out of place with the rest of the film. There's also another scene later on when Madison has been taken away by the police, and it's a single take moving through the scene. Nothing complicated is really going on, but it adds visual interest, and it was just really pleasant to see. Overall, however, the direction and the shooting of the film is just pretty standard. It's adequate but boring. Adequate but forgettable. I really enjoyed when they just shoved the remainder of Gabrielle's brain back into her head. I'm pretty sure if you did that, you would just murder a person, because I don't think brains really work when they're being compressed inside a skull. And I really liked the awkward scene at the end, when the camera just pans away, and the birth mother is just not allowed to be in the hug. It was very good. Overall, this movie is a flaccid, forgettable experience. If it had only stayed with its schlocky, over-the-top self-awareness, then it could have been a great film to watch yearly, even have become a cult classic. But it didn't. Instead, it fell into the trap of took myself too seriously, and it paid the price. Instant obsolescence. And I'm giving this one a 4 out of 10. Malignant, more like benign. If you watch Malignant and you have a different opinion to me, let me know below in the comments. What did you like? What worked for you? What didn't? I want to hear about it. Change my mind. And as always, stay gherkin.